Hey, what's up? This is Apollo here. This video has been a long time coming. It's Russian brand Cloudburst's flagship jacket, the Orion. This came out quite a long time ago now, originally at a price of $900. Well, it's come down. Now it's $630, which is a pretty big chunk off, making it certainly more reasonable cost. And since we're in winter now, it's the perfect time to talk about this jacket. I have to say this is the most feature-rich jacket that I own, so this video is going to be very much focused on those features and how well they work. But of course, I will still talk about the design and my overall thoughts too. I want to talk about features first because I do think it's one of the big selling points of this jacket. There are two lengths to it, first of all, in the same way as the Riot Division Lizard Parka from a while back, and there's a few other things around that have multiple lengths. There's a new Gorilla Group jacket that does the same thing. But Cloudburst's approach is somewhat different here. Not only is it much bigger, they refer to it, I think, on the website as a tactical kilt, something like that, but the attachment is quite different as well. Whereas those other systems tend to use a zip-off kind of function, this has a series of clips and magnets to hold it in place. It's a much more heavy-duty solution, and that's definitely needed because this kilt is quite heavy. And in fact, this entire jacket is a very weighty piece, and that's something that I'll talk a bit more about later in the video. The tactical kilt changes the length into a long-length parka. It also adds two extra pockets. I'm not sure if those are needed because, as I'll talk about later, there's plenty of other options for carrying stuff on this jacket. It's also got magnetic closures on the front, so if you're standing still, this will close up. I'm not really sure if that's needed. Again, it does feel quite restrictive when it's closed. It feels like a pencil skirt or a kilt, I suppose. They are just magnets though, so they do come open, but I thought it was a bit of a strange inclusion. I guess if you're standing still somewhere and you close it up, then you're a little bit more protected against rain and stuff. Maybe that's the thinking. But it does give two distinct looks to the jacket, which of course is going to make it more wearable in different situations, and that's always a good thing. Another big feature, and quite a unique one, is what appears to be the two big pockets that run down each side of the jacket. If you open these up, you'll discover that these aren't pockets at all because the bottom is only secured with magnets, and there's also double zips here, so you can open the whole thing out like wings, and what that will do is reveal that there's actually a massive series of pockets on each side. Some of them have windows in, some of them are plain, and they've all got these little magnetic closures. So everything in there is pretty secure. One of them comes with a multi-tool as well, which was quite a fun little attachment, so you can do quite a lot with that. And one of them comes with a stinger, which is a little handheld combat weapon thing. Obviously, I'm not going to recommend that you walk around carrying weapons, but it's a fun little inclusion, and it says that this jacket is prepared for any kind of scenario or situation, as the multi-tool does, and in fact, as quite a lot of elements on this jacket do. So these pockets, of course, mean you can store loads as well as remove them at will. So you could use one as a wallet, for example, and then you can just rip it out and use it to pay for something and then stick it back on there, or pretty much do anything with them. Or if you decide you don't want them, you can just rip them out and then leave them at home. Each one is fairly small, so you can't carry really big things in these pockets, but for sheer number of different ways of organizing stuff, this has got to be more than pretty much anything else out there. You'll also find in there a dedicated smartphone / MP3 player pocket, which has a little cable hole too, and there's also a little section on there for attaching headphones via a magnet, in a similar way to what you'll find on some of the acronym jackets. The implementation of this though is a little bit different to the acronym one. It's a bit lower down, a bit more tucked away, but nonetheless it's something not many jackets have, so it's an interesting inclusion. Because you have to unzip something and then get to the other pocket, these aren't the easiest things to access, so it's good that there are two other little magnetic closure pockets that you can stick your hands in. These ones are fairly deep, you can get a decent amount of stuff in there too, and there's also a big pocket on the back. This is designed for laptops apparently. I can't get mine in there, it's a bit too big, but if you've got a smaller size laptop, then it should do the job just fine. And for heavier things in general, you can put something in here and it's going to centralize the weight much better than having it on one side or the other. The sheer amount of carrying capacity in this jacket, as well as the organizational capability, mean that you have less need for a backpack or a messenger bag if you're taking this out with you. You might think that all of those removable pockets on the inside with all that material and with the magnets is going to make this jacket pretty heavy. Well, that's partly true. It certainly adds to the weight, but even with all 6 of those pockets removed, this is a very heavy jacket. This is the heaviest thing I own by a long shot. There's the magnets and the clips that are used for the kilt and to secure all of the pockets. There's the 2 layers of material that are required to make those wings that you can open out and then check for everything inside. There's the plating on the outside, which adds extra material, and I think even the material itself is pretty weighty. It boasts 15k millimeters of water resistance, which compared to jackets from guys like Riot Division and Guerrilla Group where they list their spec, it tends to come out at around 8k, so it's much more than that and approaching Gore-Tex territory, which is 28k. It's quite thick, it's quite rigid, it's not as pliable as some jackets are. It's probably most comparable to Gore-Tex in terms of that crunchiness that the material has, but I'd say a little bit less pliable than that, just because the material itself feels thicker. If techwear was an RPG, this would be the jacket the tank would wear. I don't think the weight in itself is an issue. It makes the jacket feel very rugged and sturdy and well built, and I think that's what this jacket is going for. It's the kind of thing you put on when you're going out for a long time. You don't know when you're going to be back. Proper urban excursion in the rain type deal. But the problem for me comes in when you do this jacket up. I think the sheer weight of it and all those magnets and all that material makes it hang a bit strangely. I think it's more noticeable wearing it yourself and looking down, but you might get a bit of a sense of it in this video. It just seems to bulge out at the chest a little bit, which makes it look slightly awkward when it's done up. And I suspect it's the reason why, if you go on the Cloudburst website, all the pictures of this jacket have it undone. It's a shame that something that feels like it was designed as this super heavy duty piece of equipment that you can take out with you and it's going to do everything, almost suffers under the weight, literally, of its own features. And I feel like the material that they've used here has a bit of a part to play. I think switching to a different material, which would potentially mean less water resistance, losing some of those magnets and some of those weightier features, or using a softer or a lighter material on the inside of that wing, all of those things could potentially help reduce the weight and help make this jacket sit a little bit better when it's done up. Of course, your mileage may vary with anything fit related like that, but it was something that I noticed quite prominently, so I feel like it will come up for a lot of people. And while this isn't an uncomfortable jacket, it goes without saying that neither is this the most comfortable jacket in the world, purely because of that material. It is very rigid and it's quite thick as well. But I don't think anyone is buying this jacket thinking that it's going to be some nice, cozy, soft jacket. It obviously doesn't look like that. It's not designed to perform like that, so I can't really knock it down for that. This is equipped with a jacket sling and it uses the same securing method as the kilt does, so there's a series of little clips that go around. That does make it a little bit more complicated than other jacket slings, but also a lot more heavy duty, which of course is very much the theme of this jacket. And they certainly haven't skimped out on that department, so I think this is going to hold up the jacket just fine. It's not something you're going to want to hang off you all day. As I say, it's more weighty than other things, but it's always a feature that I like to mention, as personally I find jacket slings really useful and I do tend to use them a lot, so I think it's a good thing for them to include. And I also think the straps look really nice as well. They have a nice bit of sheen to it. They look like a proper backpack strap, and they have this nice embossed Cloudburst branding too. It is of course worth discussing the looks of this jacket, and I think there's some cool things here worthy of note. Something that I alluded to very briefly earlier was the plating that you'll find over various sections of this jacket, on the shoulders, the elbows, the sleeves, and a little bit at the back and on the hood as well. This gives it an appearance reminiscent of some kind of samurai armor. It's very clearly been inspired by plated armor. I think it fits the theme of the jacket really well as something that is very sturdy and heavy duty, and while it makes it look very unique, and I think if you look at it a lot of people will recognize that connection, I don't think it's enough to make it look like a piece of costume. Neither do I think it looks particularly silly. I think it's done to a tasteful level, but still making it look a bit different. And because that plating is visible from every angle, there's always something interesting you can look at, and it's always going to give across that aesthetic of a heavy-duty armor-like coat. And I think that's a cool take on techwear, and I think it's a little bit of a different direction that lots of other brands go in. So it's clear to me that they're forging their own path with this kind of design. Often, as I mention a lot, techwear jacket designs can be a little bit derivative of the big brands like Acronym, but I don't think they're really riffing off anything that anyone else has done. That's certainly a good thing, and I think it gives this jacket a lot of its own identity and a lot of personality. The plating elements I think are enough to make this clearly the Cloudburst Orion and nothing else, but there are a few branding elements on there. There is a little stitched on logo that sits, I think, on the left flank of the jacket, and there's also a little detachable logo via some poppers that can be placed in a few different locations. I quite like that because you can choose how overt or discreet this is, or of course totally remove it if you want something a bit more subtle. But either way, this doesn't really have very much branding on it. The look of the jacket with that plating pretty much does all the talking that you need it to. To talk briefly about sizing, this one is a size large. Right now I'm normally wearing mediums in jackets, so this is a little bit bigger than what I would normally have, but I think taking a jacket like this a bit bigger is no bad thing. Because it is so big and it's so bulky, having a bit of an oversized look to it is the direction you want to go in. You don't want something like this to look too small, or it really is going to look awkward. And while the sleeves are maybe a tiny bit long, they have quite a strong cuff on them, which means that they're not going to go too far past your hand and look like you're wearing a grown-up jacket when you're a little baby. The plating on the sleeves is quite cool actually, something that I didn't talk much about. It comes quite far over the hand, so it's quite protective and it feels quite nice. It's going to help keep your hands dry as well, and anything else you happen to be wearing underneath this jacket. So what is the overall verdict on the Cloudburst Orion? With this jacket, there are a huge number of features and different things to talk about. So in this video, I tried to pick out the things which I felt were most important. It's designed with heavy duty wear to shield you from pretty much anything that you might come up against, even enemies apparently, with that little knuckle duster thing, and being able to carry a huge amount of stuff in a lot of different ways. It really is a Swiss Army knife of an outer layer. Unfortunately, I do think it suffers from having so much stuff on it. It is such a weighty jacket, and I feel like the comfort and the look of the jacket when it's done up are not as good as other high performance techwear shells out there. So I think it's most productive to view this as almost an over jacket in a similar way to how they style this on the website. They have a very strong mid layer, something that's going to insulate you and protect you from the elements. Something like the Arc'teryx one that I've been wearing in this video, or maybe even something more heavy duty than that. And then you can wear the jacket over the top of that without worrying about water resistance not being as good, because you're already being protected by the stuff underneath, and the outer jacket is just adding this cool armor-like look and adding all those features and the storage capacity too. But despite that shortcoming, this is a cool look. I always like to see a brand taking something in an interesting direction with a pretty big feature list as well. I think Cloudburst could do well by taking some of the ideas in this jacket and using them to create something that's maybe a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more friendly for casual wear. Now that this jacket has been reduced to $630, and now that other brands like Acronym seem to be jacking up their prices, I think it offers a lot of the features for the price. And if those features are things that resonate with you and you like that idea of taking the over jacket approach, or you don't really plan on wearing this done up too much, then I think it's something that you can get a lot of wear out of. But as an all-purpose or a general use shell, something that you can just chuck on in any situation, there are probably going to be better options out there for you. And that is what I think about the Cloudburst Orion. I appreciate you guys have been waiting a while for this video, so thank you very much for your patience on that one. And let me know what you think about it, of course, as well. Is this something that you could see yourself wearing and taking that open jacket approach, maybe wearing it like the model pictures on their website? Or are there other things from Cloudburst that are more your style? Because some of their other jackets do look very different to the Orion and come with a pretty different set of features as well. Either way, love to know what you think as always, and if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, it's super appreciated. And that is everything, so thank you so much for watching, and of course I will see you next week for the next video. Thanks to everyone for giving your thoughts on the 25k sub milestone video. A lot of you guys seem to want the wardrobe tour, so I'm definitely going to do that. That's going to be a thing. My priority first is getting out some more reviews and more stuff like that, because the wardrobe thing is a little bit of like bonus content, so I don't want that to take precedence over other stuff. But it will be coming, and I know a lot of you wanted to see a Q&A as well, so I'll probably do that too at a later date, so you'll get 2 little bonus videos. But in the meantime, there's going to be loads more clothing pickups and reviews and some other cool stuff as well, so do keep a lookout. And thank you so much for making it right the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more stuff, there's going to be links going up at the top to some more fun videos you can check out. And If you haven't subscribed yet, there is going to be the little circle over on that side. You can join the gang, you can be notified when all the new stuff comes up, and you can just have a great little techwear time.